That's the east gate. It's shut. It's walled off. And the tradition, of, even among Orthodox Christians, is that when Christ returns in glory, that gate will be open again. So this is literally looking toward the east gate that is shut. Over the Kidron Valley, this is all the burial place here. And this is a view that I took that I thought was kind of impressive, because there I'm standing in the Garden of Gethsemane, looking up toward the east gate.
Looks like you gotta climb a mountain to get to.
Yeah, well, you can't even go that way. There's roads that go around to it.
Yeah.
But that's a kind of an important view there, because it connects Jesus' last days with his view of the going into the city, the holy city. The holy city, and the east gate is important because that's probably the way he entered the city on Palm Sunday. And there's a nice, fine young priest there in the Garden of Gethsemane. I had to show myself somewhere to show that I was there, otherwise they're just tourist pictures, right? So that's me, I was there, yes. And we got some oil from there. Every place we went to, we tried to get oil or whatever was there. The places that had water, we took little plastic bottles and tried to get water from all these places too. Especially when we got to the Jordan, everybody was good. They were bringing big buckets like kegs. People wanted to take of water. People were taking it. Everybody wanted, and there was a lot of people who actually went to the Jordan at one particular spot to get baptized. There was constantly baptisms taking place in the Jordan at one particular point spot. Now, where Jesus was baptized was not accessible because it wasn't part of the. It was part of a militarized zone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you couldn't access that part. But there's a special place that they had for tourists where they allowed baptisms, and you could take water there and have a service or whatever. So that's kind of what we did. Somebody leaving or coming? Are we done yet?
No, we're not
Okay.
done.
This is one of the newest churches in the Holy Land. It's called the Church of All Nations, because I think there were 40-some nations that contributed to this church. It was built in 1924.
Was the United States one of them?
Yes. And you see, there's cupolas up here. That's the Church of the Ascension. It's an Orthodox Church of the Ascension, halfway up the Mount of Olives. It's dedicated to Saint Mary Magdalene. And on top of here, up here is still the Ascension Mountain. There's an Orthodox monastery on top of the Ascension Mountain there too. Actually, there was a monk there that used to be at St. Tikhon's. We ran into him there. I hadn't seen him for 20 years. But that's the church.
Which one was that?
Seraphim. It's the Church of All Nations. And within the Church of All Nations, actually the Roman Catholics have control of that. They have daily services there. But inside, the main thing in the inside of this Church of All Nations was the rock upon which Jesus prayed when his sweat became like drops of blood. And that's the interior.
Is that what's that, the altar?
That's the altar, yeah. And then the huge stone is in front of all these people there. That's the huge stone that was traced back to the time of Jesus when he was praying in the garden.
Wow.
Called the Rock of Agony.
Agony.
Yeah, where he prayed. Now this is a view from the other side, looking up. So this is the Church of All Nations with the Rock of Agony. This is the Orthodox Monastery of the Ascension. Church of St. Mary Magdalene. Monastery of the Ascension is up here, and our hotel was someplace over there on the top. So this is looking from the Jerusalem side up toward the Mount of Ascension. That's a dark picture.
Is that a censer? I see a
Actually,
censer.
this is a long stairway that goes down to the Orthodox Church of the Dormition, where Mary reposed.
I see
And-
what's in the top left.
That's nothing but solid lampadas, vigil lamps.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the way down
the
like
ones in front of the
34,
Yeah, in front, yeah.
34 or
Yeah.
35 steps down to get to the place of the dormition.
Wow.
See, that's kind of what, you can actually go into the spot that they have carved out to the place where she presumably was laid in state. Underneath that icon is the place where she rested upon her death. The priest there is Father Basil Summer, who was the leader of our particular group, and he was the one that led the prayers in all of the places beside me. And just like in the Church of the Nativity, you had to bend down to get into the place where her tomb was. Next to that is a new church. This one is the church dedicated to Saint Peter, built over the spot where, he denied Christ 3 times. It's the Church of Saint Peter, where the cock crew. You know that part of the gospel?
3 times.
The cock crew the 3rd time, and Peter denied him 3 times. This is also dedicated because they house the chains of Peter. When Peter was in prison.
They have them, like the actual ones?
Yes, the chains are actually there because the angel visited Peter in prison and the chains fell off of him.
Right.
The chains are here.
Wow.
So that church is a dual purpose of Saint Peter, dedicated to Peter, both the chains and the denial took place at this spot. And anytime they excavate anything in the Holy Land, they always find something from hundreds of years before. Always, because they have these photographic images of all the things that they dug up when they were excavating. They would find sensors. We found a place in Cairo, in Egypt, where they found a sensor from the year 25 or something like that. I mean, not 1925 or
Right.
2025.
25.
25.
That's probably still alive then.
That's
Yeah, there's all kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And they're ultimately, the Jews want to recreate the temple again.
Yeah.
And there's a big controversy over that because now with all the nonsense going on over there, it doesn't sound like they're going to get too far. But there are those very pious and traditional Jews that are ready to start building the next temple. And this is inside where we're getting a little talk by the tour guide on what happened in that particular place. You can't see that real clear, but that's a huge icon of Peter in his chains. Another one. In all the Orthodox churches, there's iconography going on all the time.
What's that lot?
See, that's pictures of everything they discovered when they were excavating for the church. They found a censer and they found a communion spoon.
A ring?
Oh.
They found all kinds of stuff. Okay, and then from there, we go up to the steps of the Strata. When they, in the gospel, when Jesus was betrayed and when they came to get him in the garden, they dragged him up the stairs to the prison. Those are the stairs they dragged him up.
Jeez.
Literally dragged him up those stairs. There were 3 prisons inside that particular area, which was the house of Caiaphas, the high priest. They literally dragged him up those stairs, which are there for a long time. That's a picture of him. It's a relief. It's not an icon. It's a relief image of him, the soldiers dragging Jesus up those stairs to the Praetorium. And there's at the top looking down. pretty steep.
Yeah.
It was quite a walk to get up and quite a walk to get back down. You know, so many times in the Gospels when it says, when it says that, and they were on their way up to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is the highest point in this area in the Holy Land. So it's literally they were going up to Jerusalem all the time.
Mm.
This is one of the prisons that Jesus was in when he was awaiting his sentencing. And actually there was a round one, this round one, where there's no stairway, there's no access to it. They literally probably dropped him through that hole. And the Crusaders at the time in the 11th or 12th century engraved crosses into the side of that hole where they dropped Jesus for his trial. And that's at the bottom of it, looking up. Yeah, that's the Palestinian. Constantine was his name.
Cool.
So now we look at an overview of the old parts of the city. This was the part of Jerusalem called the City of David. And a lot of excavations were going place there. And from there, you could see the upper room where Jesus had what? The Last Supper?
Yeah.
And
Really?
where Pentecost happened. It's all here. Let me show you that from a distance here. This is anytime you hear in the Psalms or the readings in the church about Mount Zion in the far north, the city of the great king, that's it right there. Mount Zion in the far north. Far north is as far as you could throw a stone. It's not that far north, but it's still north, the north side of the town. And that's overlooking the rain coming in. So this is an opposite view from a different perspective of the center of Jerusalem. We're on our way to David's tomb now.
We see some mountain and it's like, man, that's a great place. We should build a city there.
Well, that's kind of what David said.
It's kind of good defenses, isn't it? Think about it, when the invading army was to come.
Well, they did have a lot of those.
Yeah.
You ever hear of Masada? Look that up
I've
sometime.
heard of it, yeah.
That's where the Jews killed each other rather than let themselves be taken by the Romans. 912, something like that. Jews killed themselves. Now back closer toward Jerusalem itself, I used to say, you know, a lot of these new churches that are popping up all over the place these days, you know, the Church of the Good Feelings and the Church of Jesus the Lover or whatever. So this church is called the Church of the Stoning of Stephen. That's where Stephen was stoned to death. So I said, oh, this is such a nice thing. Let's go to the Church of the Stoning. That'll look funny on a raffle ticket. Support the Church of the Stoning. Now here we're going to David. Is she coming back?
No, I don't think so.
We're going into Zion in the far north, the chapel of David, where his burial place is. And this is the upper room. Now the upper room, what happened in the upper room? You kind of just mentioned a couple of things, didn't you?
Last Supper.
Last Supper, Pentecost. This is where it happened. Now it doesn't look at all Christian because it was taken over many times by many different groups, including the Crusaders. The Crusaders weren't too good at it either. They rebuilt it because part of it was destroyed under the time of Diocletian, who wanted to get rid of everything connected with Jesus and Christianity. But this is the upper room in the city of David. So actually the first thing we sang here was Of Thy Mystical Supper. And then we sang the song of Pentecost. The place I got was reveal the fisherman as most wise by sending down upon them the Holy Spirit. And there's a lot of the groups, Christian groups that are visiting there that kind of had their own little prayer services going as well. So this was when our group was together after we were singing our
How many singers did you have?
singer. Everybody tried. We had about 10 that knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
So we had a little choir in each place. You broke your fork.
I did. Teenage activities.
You broke your fork in the upper room. Okay. And this is going into the tomb of David.
Oh.
David's tomb is there, and everybody has to wear hats on their head covering.
Really?
Yarmulke.
Is that like a special reason?
Yeah, it goes out of respect.
Wait, you said.
Would you take off your hat?
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Have what?
Would you take off your hat?
No, there you have
have
your
to put
head
it
covering
on, like
because
they-
to show that God was above you.
Jews,
Yeah.
like the Jews wear their, yeah.
The Jews always wear the yarmulke.
You could have thrown a Phillies hat on.
And these
Oh.
Indians, Cleveland Indians.
Yes.
I had my Indians hat. They're not even Indians anymore. No, they're
Guardians.
They're Guardians. What the heck
They
is
changed
that?
Why did they change?
Guardians of the
That's a whole
Tomb.
nother discussion.
Yeah, whatever.
Right.
Anyway, those are some of the popular and very rare things that were found when they excavated David's tomb. So they're on display there as well. And you know the things that they're comparable to the things that they found in the Holy of Holies in the Old Testament. You know what the things were in the Holy of Holies?
Like the instruments, like the tabernacle.
Yeah, the tabernacle. They had Aaron's rod that blossomed. And,
Oh,
tables of the law. And what else did
The Ark
they
of
have?
the Covenant?
Who?
The Ark of the Covenant?
Wow, I'm missing it.
Yes, the Ark of the Covenant was in there too.
Really?
That's not the Ark of the Covenant, but it was there. They're all treasures.
Change color.
I'm surprised that the Crusaders
Yeah,
didn't take
close.
them.
The
Or somebody-
Crusaders took plenty, don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like,
They robbed the Holy Land blind.
So
They
isn't it?
killed a lot of
So the
Orthodox
area
priests.
around this is, well, it's a Muslim-controlled area, right?
Most of the old city of Jerusalem, even the Church of the Sepulchre, is controlled by Muslims.
So you have to have their permission to even go in. Or something.
They have the keys, yes.
Yeah.
So the patriarch has to get permission when he's having major services. You know the story of the holy light that comes down on Holy Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the Muslims have to give him permission to have that service.
What happens if they
Oh.
say no? That'd be crazy.
And the patriarch goes in there. He's pretty much almost naked. There's nothing, no way he can start a fire. He comes out and the light is
Oh,
burning.
wow.
The holy fire comes
Yeah.
and that's on everybody. Okay, and then not far is this Chamber of the Holocaust, which is a really scary place because it pays tribute to all the Jews that were killed in the Holocaust.
Mm.
What was it, 8 million?
Well, I think there were 6 million, but there were also 22 million Orthodox killed
Really?
Wow.
in Russia. You didn't
Yeah.
know
Oh, in Russia. Oh, that makes,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
They brought people there. That's where the bishop was also, Bishop Nikolai.
that? Yeah,
Was
there
in one of
too.
those holes. He was, I can't remember the name of the prison.
What are you here?
Dachau?
Oh,
Dachau.
that's
you
how.
He was in Dachau.
Hope you didn't know you guys were still going.
No, yeah, you can sit
Gotta go.
there. No, we don't.
Okay, well, that's a nice one too. Wait a second. Oh, okay, now we go from there, up the road
Yep.
to Bethlehem.
Wow.
What happened in Bethlehem? Something happened in Bethlehem? Only
Hello?
in the town of Bethlehem.
Oh, the birth.
What happened?
Birth.
Oh, there you go, that's what it is.
I just
It's a real good test, isn't it?
They're just not responding here. I'm just glad no one said
They
still.
were
Oh,
pretty
I
good.
see
They're going
baby
down
Jesus
there.
there.
Well, this, it's very, not real clear, But this is one of the most ancient icons of the Nativity.
They always portray it as a man in the icon.
Oh, it's coming?
Yes. And this
What
is
a view.
the view from Shepherd's Field, where the shepherds heard the announcement of the angels, glory to God in the highest, and earth peace in the will of men. This is the Shepherd's Field, the actual Shepherd's Field, the bell tower. There's a beautiful New Greek church standing there. But when they were excavating for the New Greek church, they found the old Church of the Shepherds underground, very far underground.
Yeah.
So this is part of Bethlehem.
Interesting.
Oh, that is a Roman Catholic church. I think
Nice.
it's dedicated to St. Catherine.
This man was ready.
I was about to say, that looks like a Roman Catholic church.
Yes, it is. You know, a lot of the places that have historic significance to us as Orthodox Christians also are important to Roman Catholic Christians. So sometimes there's the churches right next to each other, depending on what what flavor of Christian you want to be that day. You know, like in Nazareth, there's a church of Orthodox Church of the Annunciation, and there's a Roman Catholic Church of the Annunciation right next door to it.
It's kind of like
looks
the
like
Greek
a-
church is right next to it.
Like what?
Like the Greek church right across the road.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That looks like a, there must be, what's it called? Like a Latin rite? Because they face the, I
Yeah,
thought all the priests now face the
they
audience.
face the audience now.
Yeah, whatever. So now we're going into the Church of the Nativity, which is clearly under the direction of the Orthodox. And to get into the Church of the Nativity, that's the only door to get in. It's 4 feet tall.
Oh, or you
So can you say limbo?
limbo.
You could do a limbo. I'm gonna have to do the limbo. Well, the point of it was so that people on horseback couldn't come in and rob the place and disrupt everything. So it was low, so you had to be humble to get in. But as soon as you go through that, see, that's the door right down there.
Oh, that's nuts.
That's all there is.
I see they
Oh.
blocked
The
off
only way
the
to
rest.
get in.
I see they blocked off the rest of the door.
Yeah, it used to be a
that
big
was-
door.
That was all blocked off. That was largely so the Crusaders couldn't get in
Smart.
as well. And that's not real clear, but that's what it looks like inside. As soon as you get through that little tiny door, that's what the inside of the Church of the Nativity looks like. And they had a service going on when we were there. And actually, there was a bishop of Bethlehem there. Fancy Christmas balls hanging from the visual lights. And that's what the original floor from the 4th century
Oh.
looked like, the mosaic. This was one of the churches that St. Constantine's mother Helena built over the traditional place of the Nativity. And they spared no expense. I mean, it was all quite beautiful at that time, so they had part of the original floor exposed so you could see it. That's a close-up of it.
You know what mosaic is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
18,
little tiles. Those are
20
really small tiles.
Yeah.
Just
Yes, they are.
just that little bit right there probably took hours to make.
Yeah.
More than
Days, man.
Well, there he is.
That's me, I was there. You were young? The young guy. The young priest was here. And we joined into the service, and then since the bishop was there and he knew we were an Orthodox group, he let us kind of cut the line to venerate the place of the Nativity, which is underground. That's the bishop here. And here we're getting ready to go under the ground to the grotto.
So,
Call
Father,
it the grotto of the Nativity.
quick question: is this is this in the interior of like Israel, or is this on the edge?
Oh, this is Bethlehem. This is like 2 or 3 miles away
Oh wait, okay.
from Jerusalem.
That's a really bright photo. Wow.
That's because it's a purchased one.
Huh.
I cheated. All mine were dark, so I said I'm gonna buy some decent ones so you can actually see what it looks like. But actually, Roman Catholics have an altar there, the Orthodox have the main altar, and I think the Copts have an altar as well there. They do that at the sepulcher too, the Copts. They guard the backside of the sepulcher. Were you there?
No, we
you
had a
went?
presentation on it a few years ago. Molly
Oh yeah,
went
Molly did
there.
that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Molly did.
Did you
And
ever-
that's the way to go down under the ground till you get to the grotto. And there's the place where the crib was. Jesus' crib was after he was born in that spot. And that's the place of his birth. There's a hole in the middle there that you can actually put your hand down and touch the actual place of his birth. The garden. And all, I mean, just to stick your head underneath there with all them visual lights lit up.
Oh, right.
Like you break out in a sweat. But you can actually put your hand down there and touch the spot he was born in. I titled that Where Heaven Met Earth.
Oh, poet.
That was Father Basil getting his head full of light. It's a space there. They have something similar to that in Jerusalem for Golgotha. They have a silver star over the place where you can actually put your hand down and touch the spot. And that's where he was nursed as a child.
Did they have donkeys in there? Farm animals?
No donkeys. No donkeys. Why is there an ox and an ass in those most nativity icons?
That's actually a great question. I assume
Thank
there
you.
was animals.
Huh?
I assume there was animals like near him. Because wasn't he born in a
Manger.
cage?
Like,
The ox and the ass stood for the Jews and the Gentiles.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he was born for all peoples,
I wonder what that was.
not just the Jews, which is which, right? I won't say. It's coming back out of Jews, out of the Church of the Nativity. They closed that this year, didn't they? I don't think they didn't have it at all.
And
The last
this
2
past
years.
Yeah.
years.
They stopped
Yeah.
communication. Lab.
This is the temple of Rachel's children. Remember when Herod,
Oh.
after Jesus, he killed all the newborns in Israel under 2 years? That's the chapel of Rachel weeping for her children. This is back to Shepherd's Field now, which is right outside of the town of Bethlehem.
real shepherds.
Real shepherds, yes. Real
They still
shepherds.
have them.
There's even
Right.
that's the new church, new Orthodox church of the Shepherd's Field. But like I said, when they were excavating for that one, they found the old church, which was far underground. That's pretty new, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like interior.
You know that last photo reminds me of the Christ Savior in Paramus.
Yeah.
They have that one kind of like
Yeah.
that
That's right.
on the top.
That's right. These slides are really from New Jersey. That's why it calls it the Holy Land. No, this is the Shepherd's Field.
I didn't understand that when we started coming here. They said he was going on a trip to the Holy Land, and I stopped with Anna later that week, and we were like, if you and the kids need anything while your husband's out of the country, she said, what do you mean? I said, he's going to the Holy Land.
It's New Jersey.
Yeah.
You gotta pay a toll to get there. But, okay, now, you saw the new church of the Shepherds. There's a stairway on the right-hand side of here, down here, that opens up to a crypt. And that's where the shepherds were buried. The shepherds wanted to be buried at the place where they heard the angels' announcement. So that's where they're buried, actually. And they didn't find them until they were excavating for the new church. into Jerusalem. How long do I have?
It's 1:47.
So we should quit?
Well, it's up to you. I wanted you to show them the flame
I wanna watch.
area,
The what?
the flame area that you went into.
Oh, the candle thing?
Let me tell
Yeah.
you.
I don't know if that's
Huh?
on this road
Oh, okay,
or not.
okay.
This is the east, west, near the western wall of the holy city, where they have the wailing going on all the time.
Oh, right.
You can actually, they have a website now, you can actually, you send in your prayer request and they'll stick it in the wall, the western wall. That's only men stay on one side, women on the other side, but the women all throw candy to the boys all the
Yeah,
time,
that's
over on the other side.
Really? I don't know.
You see, they're carrying, there was bar mitzvahs going on, there were young Jewish boys over 13 years old,
Oh, right.
Oh, wow.
It's a rite of passage, that's what, they
Get them
bring the
lifted
Torah
on a
out for
chair.
all that kind of stuff. You know, and all the times in the New Testament where it talks about, the leaders, the Pharisees having why their phylacteries and things like that, they would wear the commandments on themselves, on their persons.
Mm.
That's what they're all doing. Rite of passage. This was an excavation site where they were just starting to excavate. They say that was part of the original temple that they're trying to excavate now, but a lot of the people in authority don't want them to go any further, because that would be preparation for the next temple.
Right.
And there we come back to the mosque. It's also called the Dome of the Rock, which suggests there's a rock inside. What do you think happened on the rock? Does the name Abraham ring any bells?
Oh, yeah.
Abraham was told by God to sacrifice his son.
Oh, Isaac, right.
Oh, yeah.
On the road.
So that's what happened on that rock. He was going to sacrifice his son on the rock. Muslims believe also that that's the same rock that Muhammad ascended from.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why they have more control over the place.
They control the Temple Mount.
They control the Temple Mount. There's also another mosque not within walking distance, which is the second largest mosque there. So they control all it. But obviously they learned architecture from Byzantium.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Persian.
I mean, it's a really nice dome, isn't it?
It is a nice dome.
But did they? I thought that when the Muslims came in,
Uh-huh.
when they took over like Constantinople and stuff, like any structures that were already there, that they just removed crosses and they kind of.
Sure, they're still doing that in Turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just did another one last week. The second
Really?
largest Orthodox cathedral in Turkey was just transformed into a mosque, just like Hagia Sophia.
I get, yeah.
The Coptic church in Harrisburg on State Street, when you go straight down,
Yeah.
there's a Coptic church. That was a Lutheran church. And when
Oh,
the church
interesting.
closed, and it was for sale for a few years, and no one was buying it. And there was an Egyptian group that wanted to buy it, but it was too expensive, there was no parking. And a Muslim group wanted to turn it into a Muslim mosque. They called the Egyptian group back, my friend was there, and said to sell it to you for $1.
Wow.
So that's why there's a Coptic church there. They bought it for $1.
Yeah.
We were there for a funeral a couple weeks ago. It's beautiful on the inside. They just have no
Yeah.
parking.
And they had a fire there a few years ago,
They did, but it's.
but they fixed everything.
Yeah.
So that's what the Dome of the Rock is all about. And they don't like you to take pictures inside. Yeah, it's close up now.
It's crazy. That's Persian art.
That's our group in front of the place. Now we're going to the other side. Looking in the other direction.
Do you think the patriarch is ever gonna move?
Which patriarch?
Orthodox, yeah, no, Orthodox patriarch of
Of what?
Constantinople.
Think he'll ever move?
Yeah.
He had plans to move to Rhodos, and then they said he'll lose his authority if he moves out of Constantinople.
Well, if he stays in Constantinople, he won't have
He's
a
a dead
church.
man.
Probably good.
He's
This
got-
is it.
Devin and I, we're gonna be, we gotta head out unfortunately.
Okay.
So, appreciate the slides though.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
Some stuff.
It
Thanks.
was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tell the produce guy what he missed.
Yeah, poor this guy. He gets antsy at like 12 o'clock.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
So remember when I was at this place of the Ascension?
Yeah.
We were looking at the East Gate. Now I'm inside Jerusalem. And this is the inside of the East Gate. There's like 7 gates going into the old city of Jerusalem. Jaffa Gate, Stephen Gate, the Lion's Gate, the Dung Gate. That was a good one.
The dung
Well, there was actually one of the smaller gates into the city was where they threw all the camel and dog doo-doo. I guess it was good for fertilizing something, right? Yeah, I wouldn't go there for the food.
Oh, yeah. Dangerous to get street food.
Okay, remember what I said? We went and collected like water from every place that we went to, so bring it back and things like that.
So there's no
Well, I
water.
had a little bottle that was that I was going to put water from the pool of Siloam. You know, when Jesus told the guy to wash in the pool of Siloam, the blind man. Well, that's the pool of Siloam. It's been dry since the year 300. But amazingly so, the pool of Siloam is right next to Mary's house.
Oh.
Yeah, next to Mary's house. So Joachim and Anna lived there.
Yeah.
That's where they brought her up. So in other words, when Jesus is doing these miracles in these places, he's looking at places that were familiar to him and his family. That's why we were having a service in that little the church dedicated to the birth of the Virgin.
I'm imagining him hanging out with his grandparents.
Yeah. He wanted them to take them to Hershey Park.
No, he was.
Never mind.
Joking was going like this at the end of the church service.
And there's a picture of how low the ceilings were and how
Wow.
Father Dan was always ducking.
Oh, scrape your head with us.
We should quit then, huh? I don't want to keep you all day. I got more to go yet. But come back another time maybe and show you something
Yeah,
else.
Start next year.
Whatever.
That's a great experience, though. That's.
You gotta go on it.
I kind of wish I went before this war stuff was going on.
Yeah, really.
There's always the worst stuff going on. In the
Well,
world.
thanks for your attention.
I just need some help, guys. We have to
Yeah.
move the chairs, turn them against the wall facing, and bring that table back in.
Sure.
Okay? So all the chairs you can just put around the wall.
Say that.
Sorry, I